Hello! If you're somebody that incorporates elements of folk Catholicism and Christianity into your spiritual or witchcraft practice, I have a deck for you. This is the Mystical Tarot of the Saints that we are going to be doing a walkthrough and review of today. So this deck kind of came into my, I acquired it in an interesting way. While I do have a experience with the church and Christianity, I mean, I pray to Jesus and Mary, working with the saints is something that I haven't done a lot of. I'm familiar with the saints. I have prayed to some saints here and there and worked with them, but it's not something that I've really kind of delved into. And recently I felt that I needed to incorporate more of that and to kind of learn more of that. And I swear it wasn't even a week later, I get an email from the creator of this deck and they wanted to send me this deck. And I'm like, now if that is not the saints trying to come into my life, I don't know what is. So of course I said, yes, let's see what this deck is all about. All right, so let's get into it. So while yes, I did receive this deck for free, my opinions are 100% my own. So it comes in the nice little tuck box. So you get the guidebook, you get the deck, and then you also have these two little cards here. So there's a book, The Secrets of the Mystical Tarot of the Saints. So you can do the little QR card or just go to their Etsy or website. And then there's also, which is pretty cool, the meditations, prayers, and audio files, 38 meditations for each saint featured in the deck, which is pretty cool as well. So you can do the QR code for that and get some meditations. So with this deck, all of the major arcana cards are depicted by different saints. And then the pip cards just kind of have more of that religious imagery, that Catholic imagery that you may be used to. Here is the back of the deck. So the back of the deck, there is this little like gleam thing on the back here. So if you are somebody who does reversals and you don't like to know which is the top or the bottom, you may not enjoy that because this indicates that this is the top of the card. Otherwise it's reversed. So some people don't like that on the back. They like it to just all be kind of the same regardless of if it's reversed or not, but just thought I would mention that. Cardstock is pretty just standard. I do love the way that this deck shuffles. It feels really good in my hand. This is the size of the cards. It feels really good in my hand and it shuffles really well. It's not difficult to shuffle. There's not a lot of like slipping and sliding. So I really, really, really like that. I may try to gild the edges myself just because I feel like it takes away from the pretty imagery. So I'll flip through the cards in a second, but let's go through the guidebook as well. So here is the Mystical Tarot of the Saints guidebook. You know, pretty much your standard guidebook. It breaks it down by different suits and the major arcana. It also has different, I know this is kind of reversed for you guys, I think, but it has different tarot card spreads that you can do, which is also nice. The thing I will say about this guidebook, however, is that I don't feel it's super beginner friendly. I think that this guidebook is going to be helpful for people who already have kind of a base understanding of the cards. I mean, you could reference this guidebook if this is your first tarot deck you've ever used and you know nothing about the cards, you would still be able to do readings with it. However, I think those that are more familiar with the tarot will maybe find a little more get a little more out of this guidebook than maybe somebody who's more of a novice. Because it does kind of have a little bit of maybe different, I don't want to say different meanings than what you may be used to, but it kind of expands on some of the meanings that you may be used to. Because at some of the cards, I was like, oh, I haven't thought of, you know, the interpretation of that card in that way before, which as somebody who is used to reading tarot, I appreciate. But again, it may be a little, if you're brand new or more of a beginner, you may be like, wait, what does this card mean? Another thing that I was a little disappointed about with the card, with this guidebook, is it does not really break down, like this is the Tower for St. Barbara. It does not really break down who is St. Barbara, like what is she the saint of? You know, I'd like a little more information about St. Barbara. So that's kind of a bummer. However, I believe that in the book that you can buy, it does expand a lot more onto each of the saints. And from the description on their site as well for this book, it also includes ways that you can incorporate the saints into your magical practice. So I'm almost wondering if you could even buy this book, like if you don't want to read tarot, but you're interested in incorporating the saints into your practice, you could get this book. So I'm very curious as to what exactly is in this book. And then, yeah, so let's go into the cards. I'll just kind of show you some here. So the 9 of coins. Some of it feels very kind of Rider-Waite inspired, but then some of it's a little different. Like I like this interpretation of the 4 of Swords, of kind of the rest and contemplation. Here we have Mary Magdalene as the High Priestess, which I love. I love that. Temperance, Saint Cecilia, which there's some saints in this as well that I've not heard of, like Saint George is the King of Swords. I've never heard of Saint George. Oh, so it's the major arcana as well as the courts that are the saints, and then the pip cards are I like this 5 of coins as the pentacles, and then they have staffs for wands. But here we'll just kind of keep going through. Here's the imagery. I like this too, little Saint Cyprian for the magician. Very fitting. But yeah, I think this is, I've read a little bit with this deck as well, and it's given some pretty good readings. Another fun way that you could do with this deck as well is, and I just started doing this, I did this today, and I was like, this is actually really awesome. I pulled 2 cards, and then I referenced the Bible. So I like the book of Proverbs and Psalms. And so I looked at the numbers on my cards that I got. So I did my reading with, you know, here's what the cards are, here's what the cards mean. And then I took the number of the deck or the cards that I got and looked it up in Proverbs and Psalms. So I looked up like Psalm 8, verse 8, because my cards were 8-8 today. So that's a way that you could incorporate this deck into your kind of daily journaling if you want. You know, use the card numbers that you pull as which verses or which book of the Bible that you should be reading from that day, and you can journal on it. Or you could even, if you read your Bible verse of the day, if you're somebody that does that, you could then maybe pull some cards to help expand on what you read. And I'm really hoping that I don't get... I had to mute the comments on my Catholic witchcraft video because the comments just got out of control with people who just cannot stand or believe that people would incorporate elements of Christianity into their witchcraft and divination practices. So hopefully that doesn't happen on this video, because there's a lot more of us out there that incorporate, you know, folk Catholicism and Christianity into their practices than you would maybe think. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. Or you could, you know, pull like which saint should I be working with today, and pull a card and see which saint is kind of would benefit you working with. Or even maybe you don't want to incorporate, you don't do any sort of like magical workings. You know, which saint should I learn more about, and pull a card and see which saint you get, and really kind of delve into their life and their lessons that they endured, or kind of see how you could incorporate maybe elements of their life into yours for some inspiration. Yeah, and there's a lot of ways. If you have this deck or you get this deck, I love it. I would love to know maybe how you incorporate this deck and these saints into your own practice. Saint Michael, like this, you could take and keep it on your altar, a sacred space, or even put it on your nightstand or something, to incorporate the energy of Saint Michael, or really any of the saints that you are working with. So yeah, there are many ways to work with this deck, or you could just use it as just a regular deck like any other that you read with. I'm somebody, I have decks that I use for just everything, and then decks that I use for very specific things. And I feel like this is going to be a deck that I use specifically for when I want to kind of cross-reference with the Bible, or maybe do a meditation with the cards, or to connect specifically with the saints is what I'm going to be utilizing this deck for. But there you go. That is the Mystical Tarot of the Saints. I think it's a pretty cool deck, a unique deck. And there you go. Enjoy.